When analyzing an argument by analogy through the techniques provided in Chapter 7 of Ethics in a Nutshell, relevant differences are to be identified. In the argument by analogy provided in the reflection this week, a couple of differences stood out to me. First, acquiring a driver's license does require knowledge over a driving manual. A manual covering the rules of parenting of which is unavailable and non existent. What guidelines should an adult follow when disciplining a child? What can be defined as inadequate parenting? Step-by-step instruction is simply unavailable, so that undermines the concept of acquiring a parenting license. A second difference would be that individuals that drive have police officers around to ensure that they are following the adequate driving rules at nearly all times. They can be fined or have their licenses revoked, but parents do not have individuals with authority that supervise their parenting ways in order to ensure that they act according to adequate parenting standards. A third difference would be that when an individual's driver's license is revoked, the vehicle that is no longer being used does not have its feelings hurt because it does not have feelings at all. Meanwhile, if a parent's parenting license would be revoked, the child or children's lives would be completely altered. When drawing on Chapter 6 of Ethics in a Nutshell, all things considered, view over this central issue would include analyzing this issue through Kantianism, utilitarianism, feminist care ethics, and virtue ethics. When analyzing this issue through Kantianism, you can see that requiring a parenting license would also imply that having or caring for any other things would probably also need to require a license as well. Acquiring a license for many things such as caring for a pet or a plant will also be necessary, since licenses to protect the safety of others would need to be universalized. So we're going to say it's a no from Kantianism. Utilitarianism in this issue would suggest that requiring that a parent obtain a parenting license would cause the net pleasure to be maximized. The children would be protected from being neglected, and the parents would be happier due to being better informed parents. Feminist care ethics would suggest that the relationship between the child and the parent would be important enough to consider acquiring a license in order to remain as the caretaker. If a parent valued the relationship with their children as much as they should, it would not be a great burden to acquire a license in order to ensure their success as a parent and their child's happiness. Virtue ethics would suggest that the parenting license would only be beneficial due to the further development and character that was required. The parents would have to strengthen their patience, wisdom, and decisiveness, and learn how to steer clear of excessive anger, violence, and vulgar language, therefore fulfilling the moral obligations of virtue ethics, of prioritizing virtues and avoiding vices. Kantianism would give a no for requiring a parenting license, but in this case, utilitarianism would give a strong reason for acquiring a license. Feminist care ethics would also give a strong reason for acquiring a license, and virtue ethics would give a weak reason. So, all things considered, we would have a fairly strong reason to require that parents obtain a parenting license for the sake of the children and the parent. Through Chapter 8 of Ethics in a Nutshell, I learned how to test my view for coherence with my views in related issues, as well as with consistency with relevant intuition that I have. It is important to use moral intuition, to keep theories in check, and to ensure one does not stray away from logic with our reasoning. Consistency in reasoning when dealing with similar situations will reveal coherence. In this situation with comparing the requirement of a driver's license to transport yourself and the requirement of a parenting license in order to take care of and raise children, I hold this to be consistent with my moral intuition. Children who are raised in inadequate homes often find themselves enduring mistreatment that has the capability to take a toll on their future. Insecurities increase, self-worth and trust decrease, and most of all, their view on love is often distorted. I believe that since having our driving habits monitored is definitely essential for the safety of many, the parenting of our offspring should be an even greater priority.